Welcome to Top 30. I'm Kristen Smith.
And I'm Richard Bacon, and here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes. According to data from AAA, this will be the biggest weekend for Thanksgiving travel in 12 years. About 51 million Americans will be on the go in some form during the 5-day travel period from Wednesday to Sunday. They also say 89% of these people will be driving and about 8% will be taking off from airports around the country. Thanks to a spike in gas prices, road trips will be more expensive than last year. AAA spokeswoman Jeanette Castellano says compared to the first half of November last year, gas prices this November are on average 39 cents more expensive. However, data released from Google Maps researchers says no matter where you are in the US, the best time to return home on Sunday is before 6 a.m. and after 4 p.m. And if you happen to be traveling from one of the biggest and busiest airports like San Francisco, Newark Liberty, Oakland, Houston Hobby, and Sacramento, experts suggest to get there early to avoid congestion. But best of all, and really I hope it's not too late to change your plans, have everyone come to you.
These are your quick hits. David Cassidy died on Tuesday at the age of 67. The Partridge Family star and teen idol had recently been admitted to a Florida hospital in critical condition after suffering liver and kidney failure. And watch as Jay-Z stops his show to have an inspirational pep talk with a 9-year-old girl in the crowd.
You can be anything that you want to be in the world. But you, young lady, you got the potential to be the next president of the United States. You believe that?
An important message that little girl isn't likely to forget. A U.S. Navy plane has crashed into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Japan. 11 people were on board the transport plane when it went down at about 2:45 p.m. local time on Wednesday. The Navy says 8 people were rescued and are in, quote, good condition. But 3 people are still missing. American and Japanese planes and ships are searching the area. The C-2A Greyhound was flying from a Marine base in southern Japan to the USS Ronald Reagan. The crash happened about 500 miles southeast of Okinawa. The cause of the crash is unknown, but Japan's defense minister told reporters the Navy had informed him there may have been engine trouble. It's the latest in a series of accidents for the Navy's 7th Fleet. In August, the USS John McCain collided with an oil tanker. 10 people were killed. Another 7 people died when the USS Fitzgerald ran into a container ship in June. The Navy says they will be investigating the crash.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, I am hearing that IHOP is going to change the way we eat breakfast.
That's right, Richard. IHOP is bringing a new meaning to breakfast in bed. The company now expanding its IHOP and Go platform by teaming up with delivery providers such as Amazon and DoorDash to bring its menu right to your doorstep. The U.S. government is warning businesses about a cyber bug in Intel chips. Intel issuing an alert that it identified security vulnerabilities in software and business computers that were sold by Dell, Lenovo, HP, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and other manufacturers. And Uber is the latest company to be affected by a massive security breach. Hackers stole the personal data of 57 million customers and drivers worldwide in October 2016. The company paid hackers $100,000 to delete the info and keep the news under wraps.
Nicole, what does this mean for the customers and the drivers affected by this?
Well, Richard, Uber has said it will provide drivers whose licenses were compromised with free credit protection monitoring and identity theft protection. Uber said it believes the information was never used. There's already an investigation into the hack, but it does raise further privacy concerns. More Top 30 when we return.
As we reunite with family and friends this holiday season, the Girl Scouts of America have a request. Don't pressure your daughters to give hugs if they don't want to. For instance, saying she must hug someone because she hasn't seen them in a while, or maybe they gave her a present. The Girl Scouts developmental psychologist said in the statement, the notion of consent may seem very grown up and like something that doesn't pertain to children, but the lessons girls learn when they're young about setting physical boundaries and expecting them to be respected last a lifetime. But don't think of this as a ban on affection. Rather, it's asking to give girls space to decide how or when they'd like to express themselves instead of feeling like it's owed. There's also less physical options like high fives, fist bumps, or smiles. So if your daughter wants to give hugs, that's great. But if she doesn't, that's okay too. All right, Richard, I understand you have an important safety warning to tell us about.
Yeah, that's right. The tragic death of a 2-year-old boy is prompting IKEA to reissue a recall, impacting more than 17 million chests and dressers. The boy was trapped by a dresser that wasn't fastened to the wall. IKEA says 186 dressers have tipped over since 1989 and is reminding customers to attach the dressers to the wall to keep them upright. The ones under the recall are children's dressers taller than 23.5 inches and adult dressers taller than 29.5 inches. They were sold online and in IKEA stores between January of 2002 and June of 2016 for $70 to $200 each. Customers with these products can choose between a refund or a free kit to fasten the furniture. There are a lot of different models of furniture included, and you can go to our Facebook page at Top 30 TV for a complete list. James Cameron is bringing together some of the world's leading Titanic experts to try and figure out why and how the ship sank for a show on National Geographic. Here is a preview in this week's Nat Geo Minute.
You won't find bodies at Titanic. You won't find skeletons. The bones actually dissolve into solution very rapidly at that depth. What anybody who's explored the wreck finds is pairs of shoes.
It takes years for a skeleton to vanish, but the shoes, treated with tannic acid, they won't eat them. So all around the Titanic are the shoes. There's a scene where we were filming and we came across a pair of women's shoes next to a pair of girls' shoes. These were people.
These were people. Those shoes got to the bottom
double
on people.
They were in their cabin.
Yeah.
Because the cabin was all around the destruction of it, and there was a hand mirror.
This is the human element. This is what people touched. It's what they lived with.
You can see more about the sinking ship this weekend. Titanic, 20 years later, with James Cameron, premieres Sunday at 9/8 Central on National Geographic. President Trump spoke publicly for the first time about embattled Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore, defending the Republican nominee. 9 women have accused Moore of improper sexual advances while they were teenagers and he was in his 30s. Moore has denied the allegations. Trump cited that denial when responding to reporters' questions, saying he says it didn't happen and you have to look at him also. Trump previously called the allegations against Moore troubling, and one of his top advisors said no Senate seat is worth a child. On Tuesday, the president also said we don't need a liberal person in the Senate, and accused Moore's opponent, Doug Jones, of having a soft record on crime and the military. 2 of Trump's hometown papers are now hitting him hard over this. There are now more than a dozen Senate Republicans that have called on Moore to drop out of the race, and the campaign arm of the Republican National Committee has severed ties with him, but Trump has not.
While we celebrate the holidays, some furry friends are celebrating the Polidays. A no-kill dog shelter in Atlanta launched its inaugural Home for the Polidays program. So 20 dogs are spending Thanksgiving week out of their normal cage and in a foster home with loving families ready to give them long walks and belly rubs. Workers at the shelter say time in a home will have long-term positive effects for the dogs. It can lower stress levels, socialize them, and provide information for potential adopters. And in the best-case scenario, the owners get just as much out of fostering and never return the dog to the shelter. Like most teens, Julia Hawk couldn't wait to get her first job. The 17-year-old is a varsity cheerleader in a regular California high school. She's been taking leadership classes and building up her resume by helping out at the Little League snack shop. Julia also has Down syndrome. Watch the excitement as she gets a phone call from Chick-fil-A with her very first job offer.
So keep an eye out on your email. We will be sending you an email regarding what orientation we would like you to attend.
Her mom, Carrie, tells Top 30 that working at the popular chicken joint has always been something Julia's wanted to do. She's very friendly and very sociable, the person that loves the unlovable. And we've got Julia with us today. Hi, Julia, and congrats on your new job.
Thank you.
So what part of the job are you most looking forward to?
With the customers to get the food to them.
Carrie told us the beautiful thing is that it wasn't two parents asking a place to give their kid a job. Several kids at school wrote unsolicited letters of recommendation for her, and a couple of other kids helped her choose outfits and drove her to the interview. So Julia, how do you feel about landing your first job?
I'm super excited. I feel like it is precious.
Julia's mom added, the young adults interviewing Julia have been raised in an inclusive environment, so they're not hesitant to work with kids with special needs. Julia, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
What an inspiration. You know, it might be her first job, but it certainly won't be her last. In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 5 New York, one mailman in East Harlem knows the community he serves like the back of his hand. He's worked with the Postal Service for 29 years, and he's been on his current route for 16. And for the 11th straight year, he will feed between 300 and 400 people Thanksgiving dinner. Another woman going above and beyond to serve her community is Kia Davis. According to Fox 5 DC, Kia leads the Northern Virginia division of Project Give Back, which provides healthy food boxes to low-income families. Kia wants to provide Thanksgiving boxes to 500 families. Each box has more than just the usual Thanksgiving fixins. It contains enough food to feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks. Local businesses are helping Kia achieve her goal. Harris Teeter Supermarket provided 1,000 water bottles, and Easterns Automotive Group donated $3,750. Another organization working to make Thanksgiving special for the less fortunate is Union Station Homeless Services. According to Fox 11 LA, the homeless shelter feeds more than 2,200 people each Thanksgiving. But when a donor unexpectedly dropped out and didn't provide the ingredients needed for the meal, one grocery chain stepped up to answer the call. Trader Joe's donated 200 turkeys to make sure the shelter's annual Dinner in the Park event doesn't go without the main course. But they still need side dishes, so if you would like to donate, please visit unionstationhs.org.
NASA released video of a supersonic parachute that will eventually help a rover land safely on Mars. A rocket carrying the parachute was recently launched so engineers could take a closer look. The chute is made of Kevlar and is traveling at about 1,300 miles per hour when it's entirely deployed. Researchers watched the video in regular speed and super slow motion to monitor exactly how each piece of the Kevlar moves, how the chute unfurls, and making sure there are no issues. The test flight ends with the parachute landing in the ocean, but more tests are planned in February. The parachute will be used to slow the 2020 Mars rover as it flies through the atmosphere at more than 12,000 miles per hour.
The holiday season is here, and retailers are chomping at the bit to get your business. In recent years, Target and Walmart have struggled to keep up with Amazon on Black Friday. So this year, retailers have decided to kick off sales before the shopping holiday, in an attempt to maximize profits and undercut the online retailer. To accomplish this, some retailers are offering discounts on products before people start lining up on Thursday, while others are slashing prices for in-store purchases or are simply dropping prices on items Amazon doesn't offer. A study conducted in September by NPD Group Inc. says a majority of people plan to do their shopping early and on Amazon. Still, many shoppers plan to hold off on Black Friday altogether and wait for Cyber Monday discounts. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Scientists have found that the Earth's rotation is mysteriously slowing down. It's nothing you would notice, but you might feel the impact because there's strong evidence that this could result in a rise in earthquakes for 2018. A research team analysed every earthquake, registering above 7.0 since 1900, and found that about every 32 years, there's a small increase in significant earthquakes worldwide. The strongest correlation they found was the slowing down of the Earth's rotation, which historically lasts for 5 years. 2017 was the 4th year of slowed rotation, making 2018 the one. To this day, earthquakes are still the hardest natural disaster to predict. One of the nation's top job search websites analyzed job growth data and found the nation's fastest and slowest growing jobs. Indeed.com reviewed a report from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics and found installing solar cells is the fastest growing profession. Right behind that is a wind turbine service technician, but both those jobs only employ about 9,000 people each year. The third fastest growing job is a home health aide, someone who helps the elderly with personal services. This profession employs more than 800,000 people. On the other end of the spectrum, secretaries and administrative assistants have the slowest job growth. For a complete list of the fastest and slowest growing jobs, check out our Facebook page at Top 30 TV. One of Facebook's former employees has criticized the company for not protecting its users' privacy. In an opinion piece for the New York Times, former operations manager Sandy Porokilas says, "What I saw from the inside was a company that prioritized data collection from its users over protecting them from abuse." Facebook has already admitted before Congress it sold about $10,000 worth of advertising to Russian-linked accounts during the campaign. Porokilas calls for Facebook to be regulated by the government because democracy is at stake and it won't regulate itself because it has no reason to. According to him, Facebook's value to advertisers comes from the data it collects on its users. This year, Facebook is expected to make over $27 billion in ad sales. Developers of games like Candy Crush and Farmville reportedly had few restrictions on what they could do with users' information. The piece details one story of a developer that was automatically generating profiles of children. Facebook responded in a post online saying it's untrue to suggest we didn't or don't care about privacy. The company also says their privacy practices have improved since Porokilas worked there.
Even though Angel and Erin Fiorini had been together for 15 years and had 3 children, it wasn't until a house fire nearly killed Angel that they decided to marry. According to People magazine, Angel says she woke up in the middle of the night and her house was covered in smoke. She raced into action, rescuing her 2 youngest children. But by the time she returned to rescue her eldest, 8-year-old Gianna, the house was engulfed in flames. Angel was able to save all 3 of her kids, but ended up with burns on more than half her body. Even though they never had plans to marry, Erin proposed 3 months after the fire, and the happy couple married over the summer. Angel told The Sun, "It was such an emotional day. Just being able to stand there in front of our family was truly a miracle." Despite all the stuff that was lost in that fire, even more was gained. If you want to donate to the Fiorini family, you can do so at their GoFundMe page. We have good news if you put off your Thanksgiving shopping till the last minute. The price of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner is the lowest it's been in 5 years. That's according to new data from the American Farm Bureau Federation. They estimate a traditional feast for 10 people will run just over $49. That's down about 1.5% from last year's cost of $49.87. The biggest reason is a drop in the price of a turkey. A 16-pound bird is down to about $22.38 on average. The Bureau said that was due to more turkeys being stored in advance than last year. Unfortunately, for those with a sweet tooth, some items went up. Pumpkin pie mix, whipped cream, and cranberries all increased. But other Thanksgiving staples are cheaper. A 3-pound bag of sweet potatoes is down by more than 2%. Pie shells were down about 5.5%. A dozen rolls can be had for 8% less than last year. So you'll still have to wait in long lines at the store, but at least you'll be spending less, and that is something to be thankful for.
A new study out of Caltech explains how a fly known as a scuba diving fly survives the harsh conditions of Mono Lake near Yosemite by covering its body in a bubble. Alkali flies survive the lakes in hospitable conditions because of a coating of special wax on the very fine hairs that cover their bodies. These wax-covered hairs allow the flies to create a safety bubble so they can dive underwater and feed on the lake's algae. The bodies of most insects are covered with hair and some degree of wax, but the scuba diving fly amped up these traits to overcome the extremely oily waters of Mono Lake that's described as the wettest water on Earth. Floris van Breugel, co-author of the study, said this provides a clear example of evolution in action. It is rare to see evolution in action, which is why this is so gripping. Kristen, what's coming up on the next show?
Well, Richard, we've got some tips about Black Friday. The Top 30 team put together some shopping hacks to help you get the best deals and stay out of those long lines. And this ring could replace your keys, credit cards, and passwords. And one 10-year-old started his own company. It's now worth $2 million. It's all coming up on the next Top 30.